but this movie has something to state.
Coming March 31st from the BosNet family.
Everybody automatically is bought onto this train.
I would hope to be such a successful crackhead.
Sweet Science Cinema, hosted by Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill and Kush Hayes.
This is the love you show me.
But I'm wondering if maybe the script just wasn't joke heavy.
The Great White Hype.
This is a great plan. Why didn't we do it sooner?
It's so amazing.
Sweet Science Cinema.
I wonder if they just paid Don King.
Sweet Science Cinema.
I bet you could find that on Fred Williamson's Blaxploitation app.
It's like, I want to end the homelessness situation.
Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill.
If you can hack America's tribalism, you can make a lot of money.
Kush Hayes.
I'm the greatest boxer in the world. That includes various places and China.
Sweet Science Cinema, the new series.
That was my birthday present. To see Conor McGregor get doughed up.
Next episode, March 31st, from the BosNet family.
Yes, this great white hype could work out.
We're here to kick ass. If you with the Kung Fu, then this your podcast. No breaks, all gas. This the kick-ass movie podcast. We're here to kick ass. If you with the Kung Fu, then this your podcast. No breaks, all gas. This the kick-ass movie podcast. What you know about being a black belt? Len Kabasinski can tell you how that felt. Swift kick from a man can turn into a bad spell. Kick-ass movies and Len really tend to add well. North, Mr. North Star. Pop the judo, chop you right out your car. Kush to the haze, Mr. Always raise the bar. He strives to be great and exceeds it by far. So sit back, relax, we getting dirty like a mud pit. Talking kickboxer and blood fist. If we catch you dozing off, then you gotta go. What you know about Taekwondo? We're here to kick ass.
And leading us in is the sweet, sweet sounds of IAmSoLoco. What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here. Kush of the North Star coming to you with a brand new series. With me is the man, Len Kabasinski. Len, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me again. I'm really looking forward to talking about this film. Let me tell you.
Thanks for being a part of this, man. This is going to be an exciting series. You and I are going to be doing this 6 times this year, maybe more down the road if time will permit. We're going out of the gate here, hot like fire, man. King of the Kickboxers, directed by Lucas Lowe, sometimes L-O, sometimes with a wee, but Lucas nonetheless. He's coming off a No Retreat, No Surrender Part 3. He goes on to do American Shaolin after this. Len, I got to admit to you, man, I have never seen this movie before. I've seen the box in the video store. I thought maybe caught some of it on Cinemax and then go, oh, they're in Bangkok. Hey, Emmanuel in Bangkok's on the movie channel. And the other, like, I got to check that out now. It's a very exciting film. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Just spoiler alert. But why did you pick this movie for us today?
I think it's, on my podcaster show I do for Patreon, it's I do something called the Forgotten Movie Den. And I try to really pick movies that I feel just don't get talked about, but I feel that there's so much good stuff in them. And a lot of them are like bad, good movies kind of thing. I think we can say that about King of the Kickboxers, but there's a lot of good things going on in the movie. The athleticism, the choreography, if you will, the Thunderdome set at the end of the movie is amazing. There's just a lot of cool costumes are awesome. Billy Blank's Oriental mask thing that gets sliced in half at the end. There's just a lot of awesome stuff in King of the Kickboxers. I want to do a martial art movie to kick it off because most people know that's, I love ninja movies and all that kind of stuff. Of course I do. But, I think if I wanted to pick a martial art movie that I feel has always been under the radar, I would pick more of a B movie like this. Hence, here we are talking about King of the Kickboxers, which was filmed in, I believe, 1991 it came out.
So it premiered originally in Canada, November 1990. Its American debut is 10 months later, August 9th, 1991. And then it does a couple more countries. Finally ends up December 1992 in Portugal under the name O Rei dos Kickboxers. We'll get more into its foreign names a little bit later here. But yeah, so its American debut is 1991. Top 5 films at the box office in 1991. We're talking Beauty and the Beast, Terminator 2, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Silence of the Lambs, and City Slickers. That's the time period we're in for King of the Kickboxers. This is a Hong Kong, U.S. production. It's written by Keith W. Strandberg and C.U.N. Ning, who's also the president of Seasonal Films, which produced and distributed this film. One of the things I like about doing these podcasts, Len, is we start pulling at threads. And I started pulling at threads of this before I even ran the first reel of it on YouTube. And C.U.N. Ning, he's responsible for the original No Retreat, No Surrender. He's responsible for the original Drunken Master. He's responsible for Once Upon a Time in China, the entire series. He did 2013's The Grand Master and so many movies in between all of those things. He's a former exec at the Shaw Brothers in the 70s, which is how he gets his start.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's because No Retreat, No Surrender, which I only discovered about 5 years ago. Like, again, one of those things I'd always seen the box in the video store and just went like, this poster is epic, but the thing I'm seeing on the back of the box looks like dog shit. I don't want to. Delightful fucking movie. It's one of my favorites in the last 5 years. But I noticed it's following this pattern, and it just happens to be set in Seattle. Like, it's your traditional kung fu movie could be set in China, could be, Hidden Snake and Running Dragon or whatever. Just some old Tony Leung film. It's got all the same beats. We meet our sidekick. We meet our antagonist. We meet our super antagonist. We meet our love interest. For some reason, there's a scene where the secondary villain is just taking care of all the local thugs at a restaurant. It's got a lot of interesting beats to it. And Keith W. Strandberg has something to do with that. Again, he's responsible for No Retreat, No Surrenders 1 through 3, and the later American Shaolin. Strandberg hooked up with Mr. Nying when he was a tour director for a company between mainland China and Hong Kong. He speaks fluent Cantonese, and that's somehow those two just bumped into each other one day and like, let's do a movie together. And then we got King of the Kickboxers. Like, it's a fascinating lore that this film is a part of.
Yeah, I think over the years, B movies have kind of morphed into other definitions and things like that. Like, everybody that would watch King of the Kickboxers would say it's a B film, but to me, 2020 B movies are different than 1990 B movies. King of the Kickboxers still has probably, I don't know if it's $1 million budget. It's in the six figures, for sure, obviously. So, and again, if you're filming in places like Thailand, I'm sure your dollar is going further than it would trying to do a U.S. production kind of thing. So that's why Roger Corman went to the Philippines all the time, because he could turn $3 million into $27 million filming there kind of thing. So I don't want to give the impression that this is just some really poorly shot kind of B movie kind of thing. There's a lot of slick things in King of the Kickboxers and stuff. It still has that gritty B movie feel, but you got to separate that from something like that, a shot on video kind of thing that would have been shot in the last 10 years. Completely different thing here. This is on 35 millimeter, obviously, all that kind of stuff. It's not a zombie cop or a chick boxer that's shot on video back then or something like that, or shot on Super VHS or whatever. This is still coming from a production house, like you said, of Seasonal Films. They did a lot of stuff. I want to say maybe in distribution, at least in the U.S. here, I think Imperial might have picked it up. And they put out tons of good work. We're talking about some of my favorites. Nemesis with Olivia Gruner, or I know that this is another terrible film, but I love it, is Karate Cop with Ron Marchini and David Carradine. Imperial was turning out lots of movies like that back then. And I believe in the U.S. They might have put out King of the Kickboxers.
Okay. We got Loren Avedon. He's in this movie. All right, we'll come back to Loren here. We got Richard Jekyll, who I'm not familiar with, but they feature him hard. He's Captain O'Day. Don Stroud is I guess the FBI guy, or is he FBI or Interpol?
Yeah, both of those guys are really fairly, I would say, big actors. Richard Jekyll for sure in the 60s and even into the 70s. He was in a movie called Jaws of Death that was made for TV. I highly recommend people check that one out. Richard Jekyll's the lead star. He talks to sharks and shit. You'll want to watch it. Jekyll was kind of a big deal. That's why, like, on a poster, on a video box, they'll box him, or they'll give him like a special highlight, like, and Richard Jekyll. They really want you to know Richard Jekyll's in it. They should. Don Stroud, again, was big in like cop shows and stuff like that through the 70s and stuff. He's in a great movie called Divine Enforcer. If you have not seen it, you are welcome, my friend, because it's nuts. It's about a priest vigilante. You've got a breakfast table of priests. It's made up of Eric Estrada and Jan Michael Vincent. Anyways, see Divine Enforcer. And But yeah, so they highlighted actors like that. Loren Avedon, I think, is great. I've heard he had a lot of problems with other actors and things on set. Apparently, there was a blow up between him and Sherry Rose, who's his love interest in the film, but she was dating a studio executive at the time, and that might not have been the smartest decision for Loren Avedon to pick that argument kind of thing. It would have been an oops moment. Yeah. Yeah. And then I think he was working with Lorenzo Lamas. I mean, in the 90s, Lamas is still kind of a fairly big deal, especially with Renegade and things like that going on. But apparently Lamas injured him somehow or something, and there was a lawsuit, or I don't really get into reading about all that kind of negative stuff,
wow.
but apparently something bad went on there and stuff, and they went their ways kind of thing. But yeah, Avedon, he did a lot of really stuff that I liked. I love, and I mean absolutely love, No Retreat, No Surrender Part 2. When everybody talks one, they talk about it because Van Damme's in it. I mean, one of the scenes is embarrassing when the guy calls the kid that's training, sees the ghost of Bruce Lee or whatever, and calls him sensei. Well, that's not Chinese. Sensei is not Chinese. You would not call Bruce Lee sensei. But anyways, research the film, guys. When you're doing this stuff, when you got your dialogue people working, maybe do a little bit of research there, because that would be kind of insulting. It would be like, let's say, if you were Italian and I said your favorite food was, or your favorite nationality food was tacos or something like that. It doesn't match up, kind of thing. Same thing with Bruce Lee being called sensei in No Retreat, No Surrender 1. But anyways. No Retreat, No Surrender 2 and 3, but 2 I really, 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 really like. And, Avedon, I think, was selling cars or something at the time when somebody pulled him to go do that. And then, but lo and behold, here he went on this run where he's a lead actor right off the bat kind of thing. And No Retreat, No Surrender 2, and King of the Kickboxers. And I forget some of the other ones. There was, I want to say it's Deadly Ransom.
Is King of the Kickboxers like an empty sequel to one of the other No Retreat, No Surrenders?
No, but
interesting.
But you're on the right track, because No Retreat, No Surrender 2, which features Loren Avedon, and No Retreat, No Surrender 3, which features Loren Avedon, they are different characters. Even though Avedon is in it, he plays 2 separate characters, and they're not related sequels, kind of thing.
Okay. Let's get into this, because all right, so the alternate U.S. title, and I don't know where you're finding these alternate U.S. titles, but per IMDb, so take it with a grain of salt, this is No Retreat, No Surrender Part 4. And based on what you just said about Loren Avedon's previous 2 roles, that kind of makes sense. Let me just break down some more facts here. In Argentina,
putting it like that, not to interrupt you, but putting it like that, I can see now why you would say it would be connected, because all of his other ones aren't connected by character. He just stars in them. So yeah, who knows? Maybe in Thailand it's No Retreat, No Surrender 4 or whatever, Karate Tiger 10 or whatever.
Karate Tiger. So you know what Karate Tiger is then, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, so in Europe, in the English-speaking parts of Europe, this is Karate Tiger 4. In the Czech Republic, it's Karate Tiger 4, Král Kickboxeru, which sounds Japanese, at least the way I say it. In Germany, this is Karate Tiger 5. What do you say to that?
Yeah, there's some interesting lineage. It's almost kind of like Naked Gun. When Leslie Nielsen went in to do Naked Gun 33 1/3, and Leslie Nielsen approached the producers and said, "Why don't we call it Naked Gun 4?" And just skip 3 altogether, which I thought's brilliant, because I thought Leslie Nielsen was a funny guy. But yeah, it reminds me of that kind of stuff. Just skip 4 and we'll call it Karate Tiger 5.
All right, that makes sense to me. What do you think about that? Because again, Blood Fist also does this, where like the first
Correct.
2 movies are absolutely linked, but then 3 through 8, they're all just different stories. And I understand like keeping a brand and whatever, but you didn't name Blood Prism Swamp Zombies 10 Blood Prism. It's a completely different movies, therefore it's a completely different title,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, only Corman could answer this one, but I think what he did is he wanted the recognizable name, because Blood Fist has already proven to be a solid direct-to-video moneymaker for him, kind of thing. So he wanted that name recognition, I think, but yet a lot of them had subtitles on the title, meaning Blood Fist 7 or whatever is Manhunt, or Blood Fist 4 is Die Trying, or I think those are actually right. And if they are, give me some props there, people. I'm an old man, so sometimes the memory's not super sharp. But Yeah, I think the name recognition is what he wanted on the video store shelf, because you knew Blood Fist wasn't exactly going to play every 500 theaters throughout the U.S. for 2 months. You know, that's not going to happen, kind of thing. So the name recognition. Part 3, I really, really like, and I think it's a good movie, like legit good movie. Blood Fist 3, where he's in prison. I believe that one's called Forced to Fight. Yeah, there we go. So I think that's a great movie.
It's a good prison movie. It's a good kung fu movie. We might even be talking about that this year.
I like that one a lot.
Okay, well maybe I'll bump that up the queue then. Speaking of name recognition, we slept on a very big name here, and he wasn't big at the time, but he's definitely the biggest name in this picture now. Mr. Billy Blanks. He plays the infamous Khan. Khan's terrifying. Khan actually has 2 Darth Vader style entrances. Both are fantastic. The first time we meet Khan, he's holding an M16. Why he needs one, I don't know, but why not? The second time is on the set of a movie. So King of the Kickboxers is all about, we haven't even gotten to the story yet. This is why I ask if this was a loose sequel, because when the movie starts, it feels like we're watching the end of another movie. Like, you remember how like Karate Kid 2, they showed you the end of Karate Kid 1 and then continued the story? Like, I thought we were watching something like that. That's not even Loren Avedon playing young Jake. Like, for a long time I was like, well, is Jake supposed to be the kid? Because some at one point someone yells Sean, and I feel like Sean was addressed as Jake. There's some maybe just bad dubbing. Anyways, Billy Blanks murders Sean.
Billy Blanks is from Erie.
Erie local, Erie native, Master Billy Blanks. Yeah, so there's actually a really good fight in front of that the exploded pagoda.
Oh yeah.
How much wire stunt work is involved in that, or is Billy Blanks just kicking dude that hard?
He was definitely a top martial art competitor in the late 80s there and stuff. And actually, I think that's when Corman, that stuff kind of became popular, because he put Billy in Blood Fist, the first one. He played Rose, or whatever they called his character's name in the first Blood Fist. He's not in it very much, but that got the ball rolling. You know, I mean, he was an extra when I was working with Leo Fong on set. He would talk about Billy coming to his tournaments and competing, and then being an extra kind of role in Low Blow. That's right, guys. Billy Blanks, Tybo, is in Low Blow. You're welcome. Yeah, I don't think there was a ton of wire work, to be honest. I mean, when we get into some of the fights that had Keith Cook, who I don't believe we mentioned, but he plays his like drunken master guy that he goes to. And he ended up playing. Is that, yeah, was it Prong?
Prang.
I was gonna say one of them. I saw Prong with Ozzy Osbourne like 25 years ago. But, you know, I think he's really good in it. I think he obviously went on to do some bigger things too. Is Reptile, I think he was in Mortal Kombat, or he played a couple of Mortal Kombat people. Yeah. Oh, he's great in China O'Brien. Yeah. Those are Robert Klaus. You were missed, buddy.
Keith Cook's a lot of fun here. His character is strange though. Is he supposed to be an American as well, or is he supposed to be Thai?
I think they tried to make him as Thai as possible, and just hoped for the best.
He's definitely doing a funny accent, but then he's got this perfectly manicured 5 o'clock shadow always going, and he's definitely one of the highlights of the film. I'd say him and Billy Blanks steal all their scenes, to be honest.
Yeah, like you said, Billy's very imposing, very terrifying kind of thing. But, you know, Billy, too, this kind of springboard him into, you know, leading man stuff. Right after this, he went into Talons of the Eagle with Jalal Murray. He's a lead in that picture. Back in Action with Roddy Piper. He's a lead in that movie. There was, you know, he went on a little run there of B pictures, but then once Tybo exploded and stuff, and I don't know if it was his intention or not, he probably didn't have to do B movies anymore. And movie making's hard work. And if you don't want to really be on a set for 12 to 15 hours a day because you made billions off of Tybo or whatever, you're probably just going to, you know, go with that kind of thing. So
so after Billy Blanks murders Jake's brother, it's 10 years later. It's 1991. We're in now New York, and Jake is apparently an undercover cop, and he's doing all of the early 90s stereotypes. He's just everybody is Kevin Nash in 1991. Did you notice that?
But what I really noticed is in that beginning scene where he's going in as the undercover cop on that bust or whatever, the guy at the table with the slick back hair, that's Jerry Trimble. Known as, I believe, the Golden Boy when he was a champion kickboxer in real life. And he went on to do several Roger Corman pictures like Live by the Fist, with George Takei, I believe is his name, from Star Trek.
Yeah, Sulu.
So he went on to do a lot of stuff too, but here he's just in, one scene in King of the Kickboxers. So King of the Kickboxers kind of launched several people really in it to pretty long careers.
Jake Donahue takes everybody down and gets reamed out by Captain O'Day. And everybody's cool about it except for Captain O'Day. And then Captain O'Day announces that Interpol just contacted him and you're the perfect man for the job and I'm sending you to Thailand. And Jake all of a sudden has a temper tantrum where he's like, I'm not going to Thailand. Captain insists that he is, gives him a bunch of materials, including some videotapes. This starts out, they explain to Jake that movies are being bootlegged in Thailand, and that's why we're sending you there to stop it. And it's only because he watches one of the movies and sees Khan in it that he goes, okay, now I'm definitely going to Thailand. I wasn't before, but now I am.
I think that's a great setup, though. I think that's a great story.
That is a wonderful setup, but that's not what happens. What's happening is the films aren't being bootlegged. The films are snuff films.
Correct.
Khan is murdering these professional martial artists on films, and that's what the real situation is. I don't know if Interpol's getting bad intel, but that's what's going on. That's what's going on.
Yes, Khan is making snuff films where he's really killing martial artists. I think it's a really unique story. And when I look at other films or other martial art things and stuff, you can say, well, Blood Fist obviously saw Enter the Dragon 14 years beforehand or whatever. But King of the Kickboxers, what are you going to really make that parallel or connection to kind of thing? Obviously, there's some scenes that are right off of Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer when we get into some of the training things and things like that. But other than that, I mean, with the snuff film story and all that kind of stuff, I think it's a really cool script.
And it's a good way to get the character back into Thailand and all that. Let's talk about training real quick, because he ends up seeking out Prang and finally convinces Prang to train him, because he's just like, you're highly underclassed. But Jake Donahue is a champion kickboxer. That's how the movie starts. Like, whatever he did to get into that match, he won the match. He won a belt. Why is it until he meets Prang again that he's doing no kickboxing? I mean, he's doing some street fighting shit or whatever, I guess. But that's this whole thing, is he's a champion kickboxer, and then he forgets it all of a sudden.
Right. To stay sharp, he resorts to the street fighting for whatever reason. And they kind of throw a curve there.
At one point in time, we meet Molly. She is part of Mr. Big's harem, and he offers one of 10 women to Billy Blanks. And Billy picks Molly, and she's all like, oh, fuck this. She gives Billy the okie doke and sneaks out the bathroom window. Then she's running down the street. Some of the Khan's goons are chasing after her, and that's when she meets Jake. And again, everybody's Kevin Nash. Like, these four guys are getting ready to rape this woman, and Jake Donahue is just like, "Hey, can I get in on that action? This looks like fun. Oh, you got a wild one here, fella." Like, he's all right. I get he's throwing them off, but also it's just weird dialogue, even in 1991.
Yes. The dialogue was, there's some dubbing or some language barrier things going on there.
That's right. The YouTube copy that you and I both came across, I don't know how it is on your TV, but on my beautiful 4K TV here, it is the standardest of definition copies. So everything's just like smeared in Vaseline.
It's a damn shame, because there's so many companies out there, Vinegar Syndrome, you name it. They're putting out gorgeous Blu-rays and stuff like that. Man, somebody get a hold of it. If I could pick two, King of the Kickboxers, for God's sake, get a Blu-ray of it. If you're going to put Nemesis and all these other, they put other Imperial type films on there and seasonal films on there. King of the Kickboxer, if anything, deserves a Blu-ray. The costume sets, everything is so awesome. And then I'm just going to throw it out there. We don't have to talk about it. But 1989's George Rivero's Fist Fighter. Come on, people, get it on Blu-ray finally.
I don't even know what that is, but that sounds exciting.
It's awesome. Superstar Billy Graham's in it.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, I love it. I think the ending is one of my favorite sets of all time. The bamboo Thunderdome thing or whatever they're in, I think is amazing.
The bamboo dome is more impressive than the bamboo dome at the beginning of McBain. It's got a better snake pit than what we saw in Cobra Kai 3. There's a lot of danger going on in this set. It's a huge set. It looks like there's just a lot of fun. A lot of trap doors, secret compartments swinging back and forth. They put a lot of money into this one set. It's really cool to watch. It's one of the highlights of the film again.
Right. I would definitely say the highlight of the film for sure is definitely the ending set piece and scene and fight between Avedon and Blanks. But you know what, though? I'll give kudos to the filmmakers because they did this correctly, though. They built and built and built this action film to the point where they paid off everybody with an awesome final scene. You know, you're not going to watch King of the Kickboxers and say, well, that ending just, man, that fell flat for a film that had my attention and the ending just kind of let me down. You will not say that with King of the Kickboxers. They built up to that moment and they came through. Awesome set pieces. There's sliding guillotine bamboo sharp sticks stabbing people. There's people flying off of walls and then hooking with their feet before they fall to their death in a pit of spikes. And they're crazy stuff, man. The ending, I think, is amazing. I just think the filmmakers here got it right. Doing a B picture without a ton of money, but man, they had whatever bucks they had, some of it went into that final set piece.
So at some point, Jake does all his training with Prang. They enter the underground. It's a very cool tournament too. It's just a gauntlet, and there seems to be no end to it. But after 3 fights, Jake's just like, I'm done, and he goes off with the crooked movie producer. Gets his trust. He tells his bosses, I'm going to the film shoot. Jake has to take a boat down the river, past all these tribesmen who have to open a bamboo gate for him to sail under that. And then we do a great POV camera shot where we're just walking through all these native people. So we're also walking through past, camera equipment and lights and all that shit. Like, to set up the stakes, Molly at one point does get captured. Prang has been kidnapped and murdered. We see his lifeless body thrown into a pit, and Jake does what he has to do, and he saves the day. Khan gets murdered twice. That's a good antagonist. You have to kill him twice. My favorite thing about Khan's death is the producer's reaction. At first, the one guy's just like, oh shit, he just killed our star. And then Mr. Big's just like, well, this is our new star, obviously.
Right, this is our new star.
I felt that was very appropriate, not just for that character, but for most movie producers. We're just like, we got lemons. We're going to make some lemonade now.
Yeah, and I think, too, there's some really, action scene, just moments you won't forget when you watch the fight kind of thing. I think one great shot in any action film I've seen is where Avedon and Billy Blanks have the swords at the beginning, and then they kind of back away from each other, and the camera holds on Billy Blanks as his mask splits in half and falls off. I think that's amazing.
That's a great scene. It's Billy Blanks breaks Jake Donahue's sword, but Jake Donahue's sword just happened to make contact just at the right moment, and it's the slow split of the mask, like you said.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Very effective. How do you think they did the slow reveal?
Honestly, I'd have to really look at it because my first initial impression would be they have wires hooked up to one side of the mask, the other side of the mask. They frame their shot because Billy doesn't move at all. He just stays still as the mask splits away. So I don't know, but it'd be hard to, I guess if it was really, really like fishing wire type stuff, you might not see it. I mean, you couldn't even use stuff like puppets or anything like you because you see that kind of stuff from time to time. But that would be my initial guess, is they would have had to have hooked up lines to each of them. If I had to pick maybe 5 shots I could think of, that would definitely be in my top 5. How'd you get his mask? Because it's a slow split. It's not like they could have just set it to his face and said, Billy, when you breathe, the mask's going to fall off. Because it wouldn't have fell off that way. You know what I mean? It kind of just slides its directions and falls off kind of thing.
Yeah, it definitely goes east and west. And I feel like if there were wires behind him, then the mask would have pulled behind with him, right?
Right. So it's probably they're going diagonal, and they would have to be pulled fairly tight, I would think, and then just, and I don't know, maybe they slowed down the footage. I couldn't really tell, but that's just, man, it's one of my favorite shots in the movie.
One character we didn't bring up is Tai Si, who actually is never named on film. You had to get his name from the credits, and he's played by Ong Soo-han, and he's another dude that you would just recognize. He's just got that face, and it's kind of a red herring, because at first I thought it was like, oh, well, he's gonna be the guy who teaches Jake how to do the kickboxing here, but he's originally Pong To's first opponent in Kickboxer 1. He's the guy that Bruce Lee fights at the ice house in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. And then he's just some goon in regular Street Fighter. But that's
you missed a good one, though. He's the co-star, if you will, lead to Roddy Piper in a great movie. I want to say it's called Never to Surrender or something like that. It's something Surrender, and it's Roddy Piper and him in it. But I want to say it's Last to Surrender, but I'm not positive on it. But it's Roddy Piper and Song, whatever his name is there. But he's in the movie a lot. He's in like the whole thing.
Okay, great. He's got a lot of presence. Like that guy's just he oozes charisma, and he's underused by a lot in this movie. But that's all the time they had. My man,
he had a 2-day set contract, so they had to get him shot out in 2 days. For
sure. But he's not even a big name though at that point. But I get what you're saying. My man, this was a fantastic movie to come out the gate with. I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you for recommending it to us. Is there anything else you got to say about it?
If anything, I really, with all the, like I mentioned, all these Blu-ray companies coming out now, really putting out obscure films from the 80s and 90s and things like that, especially the big VHS, home direct-to-home video movie era kind of stuff. Oh man, it'd be in my top 5, man, of just, this really needs a good treatment. You should not watch it smeared in Vaseline on YouTube. It's doing a disservice to all the effort that went into this movie, though. I can't imagine all the hours of choreography and everything, because this is a martial art movie. Make no mistake about it. I believe I said earlier it's an action picture, and it is. But this is a martial art action film. The fights are driving all the action in the film, kind of thing. So it'd be a wish that if somebody stumbles across this, us talking about it. I try to name drop this movie every podcast I do, much like I try to name drop Dead Heat with Joe Piscopo and Treat Williams. Is one of my favorite movies ever. But it's, that would be my wish for King of the Kickboxers. It was really for direct-to-video martial art movies. So we're saying again in the US, it was 91 then in the summer. There wasn't a ton of stuff that really blew my mind on a B movie level at that point, really. I mean, American Ninja was a theatrical release and stuff like that. And even American Ninja didn't have the athleticism on display and choreography on display like King of the Kickboxers does. I mean, these guys are legit athletes doing this stuff. And I love American Ninja. I love all of them. Maybe not the 5th one, but we won't talk about that one. But it really wowed me when it came out. And now that, you give me some trivia on some of the producers that I didn't know, now it all really super makes sense that Shaw Brothers people were involved in this and all that stuff. Yeah, B movies, number 1, see King of the Kickboxers.
I can't agree any stronger with that. This is a fantastic film. It's an absolute delight. I would say maybe Jake Donahue's the worst character in it. Everything else, though, I absolutely loved. It's just a lot of fun, even with the few nits I picked. I would definitely go out of my way to watch this again. Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, you mentioned Donahue being the weakest character and stuff, and I don't disagree with that. Some of it is, Loren Avedon isn't, the best actor in the world, obviously, kind of thing. But I mean, he's getting some pretty silly dialogue to spit out along the way as well. So he's just reading off of the paper and what the director's telling him, much like Amir Shabam would have told Samurai Cop to say, what was it? Son of bitches, or whatever weird thing he had him say that doesn't make any sense, kind of thing. But I think, again, I mentioned a lot of the filmmaking and in building the story to that awesome ending and stuff like that. They got all that kind of stuff right. I think what also they got right is Avedon was obviously not a super experienced actor who plays Sean Donahue. They tried to surround him with really good actors. Richard Jekyll's a really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Don Stroud is a really good actor. They tried to elevate him in certain scenes by putting those people around him, kind of thing. And I mean, for the most part, I think it's okay if you're the action star and can't act, but you get carried by other people. That's okay. You know what I mean? And I think they might have tried to do that as much as they could, kind of thing. Let's surround him in scenes with people that are better than him at acting. And then when it comes to those highlight stuff, you don't see him and Billy Blanks getting in long conversations together. No, they fight each other in the Thunderdome thing at the end. So I think they tried to set it up good there.
Len, what do you got to plug?
Yeah, we're kicking off the fundraising campaign for Pact of Vengeance. That's obviously my priority here, is we're into late February. My goal is really to shoot it in the summertime. So if you partake in the crowdfunding, visit either my YouTube channel, visit me on twitter.com/killerwolffilms. I can't say enough how it's beyond exciting to want to get back to some kind of normalcy. And despite the whole COVID stuff, I don't know if we'll get there, but I think I think I think I'm filming this summer, so I'm excited about that. And check out the campaign. There's lots of cool rewards or perks or whatever people call them these days. From shot glasses to giant posters, autograph posters, all that kind of stuff is on there. As I mentioned, my Patreon now, $5 signups have the patches and the posters for, when you sign up, you get those mailed out to you. So yeah, check it out. I'm hoping to get back to what I want to do and not just talking about movies, but making my own damn movies. So hopefully that resumes this summertime, man. So Kush, thank you very much for having me on. I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you for being a part of this, my man. This wouldn't be a series without you. Folks, absolutely check out that Patreon for Killer Wolf Films. It's $2 at minimum, okay? You spend more on Coca-Cola in a day than that, all right? And this is per month. It's 100 podcasts. It's everything you want from Len Kabasinski and Killer Wolf Films. You'd be doing yourself a disservice not to support the artist. Get it done. Go to Patreon right now. As for myself, Kush_Hayes on Twitter. Did Sweet Science Cinema last month. We talked about Creed. That was me and Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill. Next month, we'll be talking about The Great White Hype. Not sure what me and Mr. Kabasinski here will talk about in April, but we'll get to that at another time. Today is February 24th. Tomorrow is the February 25th. Go check out UnnameFootageFestival.com, the found footage festival that's virtually online this year. This is the fourth time they've done it. First time they've done it virtually. You're going to have a good time. 4 days of found footage material that you will love if you are a fan of that genre. Otherwise, Kush and Kai, in 2 weeks, we will have been on lockdown in San Francisco for a full year. St. Patrick's Day last year, we closed the gates. We're going to celebrate by Kush and Kai 53, talking about David Bowie's The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's a fascinating film. I think it's one of our best conversations. You're going to love it. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and of course, the BosNet.family, where you're hearing this podcast right here. For myself, Kush Hayes, Mr. Kabasinski.
Thank you very much.
We're here to kick ass. If you with the Kung Fu, then this your podcast. No breaks, all gas. This the kick-ass movie podcast. We're here to kick ass. If you with the Kung Fu, then this your podcast. No breaks, all gas. This the kick-ass movie podcast.
From the BosNet family.
Blood Prism. Yes.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yes. Well, hey, everybody.
On the next Kush and Kai,
Are you angry at titties?
March 17th.
Don't you think about higher power, man? And
The Man Who Fell to Earth.
There's a Bowie dong.
there's some Rip Torn dick as well.
Rip Torn is tearing through co-eds.
It's chaotic.
1976's The Man Who Fell to Earth.
The Man Who Fell to Earth.
I remember seeing this when I was 6.
Give me all the gin you have in the world.
Kush and Kai.
It's just like Jesus shows up. It's like, hey, buddy.
I'm in.
Yes.
Lots of dicks tonight.
Let's put some boobies in some things.
We don't know. We're just doing it to do it, and it's wild, son.
Kush and Kai. The Man Who Fell to Earth. March 17th.
Apologize ahead of time.
Coming from the BosNet family.
This is what everyone comes to the show for.